Yeah, great. So we're going to go ahead and record this for the people that couldn't be here today. We have a good number of them that couldn't be here, and some that may be joining us a little bit late. Oh, there's one right there. Um, and we're going to go ahead and start a PowerPoint. So anyway, thank you all for being here today. Let's see where we are here. Great. Everybody see my screen from here? Good.
Yep.
Great, thank you. Again, thanks for being here. We are here to just talk a little bit about the Credit for Life fair that's going to take place this Friday at Essex North Shore Agricultural Technical School. So just a quick overview of what we're going to cover today. I don't think we'll keep you very long. We want to make sure that everybody, there's a number of you who have already done this before, both here and at our large fair that we have every spring. So we're going to try to do a quick overview, review the schedule for the students because it's a little bit different than the fair that we have in the spring. We will walk you through briefly the student experience, but I am going to leave you with a code at the end of the orientation in case anybody wants to go out to the site and pretend they're a student and do it on their own as well. We'll kind of walk through the booths, talk a little bit about a couple of changes that we have made to the site this year, which improvements overall. And again, just touch on quickly again what your basic duties are as a volunteer. And then again, some logistics about where you park, what you should wear, anything generally like that. Feel free to put any questions in the chat and we'll answer them as soon as we get through that. So again, I always like to start by talking about this. Why does the Institution for Savings partner with schools to do this type of event every year? And this is why, more than half of American families can't even cover $1,000 emergency expense with savings. $60,000 is the average debt that a millennial in Massachusetts carries in debt, which is completely scary. This is a big one for us. Less than 5% of students in Massachusetts are required to take a personal finance course. That is something that a number of us are working to change this year. We've been doing a lot of advocacy work up at the State House. And we have a couple of bills that are on the docket. We won't take all your time talking about that today, but we will be reaching out to you again about helping us get this over the goal line so that all students in Massachusetts can learn about personal finance. Because as you can see, this is not cutting it the way that we are. Again, I'll just, toot the horn again. We don't require it as Massachusetts. We're one of 24 states ahead of us require this as a graduation requirement. We always think about Massachusetts being a really strong place to educate our children and our adults, and this is one area that really we're falling down behind. So this was the scenario when we started doing this fair, 13 years ago. This will be our 15th year actually doing it when we roll into 2024. And I think our third, Liz, with Essex North Shore, which we're really, really excited to be able to jump on board with that again this year. So basically, the Credit for Life is an experience that teaches them, our high school students how to survive financially in the real world before they leave high school. The students emulate 25-year-old professionals. They choose a profession. They're then assigned a salary. They get a credit card and a savings account. And then they go ahead through the fair and they purchase everything that they need to live as 25-year-old adults. Again, the goal of this event is to teach students a little bit about managing their money and living within their means actually before they leave high school. So just a couple of details about the event. Again, it's this Friday. It's from 8:45 to 10:45 at Essex North Shore. I'm going to give you the logistics of the address towards the end of the PowerPoint, and then we'll be sending out an email tomorrow with all of the details, some attachments with your talking points, just all of the logistics. No real need to take notes unless you'd like to. So we're going to ask that you get to Essex North Shore between 7:45 and 8:15. So the students roll in, anytime after 7:15, 7:30. It gets a little hectic there. So, but we want to make sure that you're there in plenty of time We're going to be checking each volunteer in, individually. They have your names. They'll be checking you in at the desk. We're big on security, as is Essex North Shore. So we want to make sure that you get in and get into the field house as soon as you do. Please make sure that you bring in with you. I know a lot of us leave bags and everything in the car when we come to this, but make sure that you bring your photo ID with you, because you will need that when you're checking in to Essex. And then we'll have some snacks for you when you get there as well. So no need to do that. So leading up to December 1st, this is what the students do. One of the things that I know that Essex has been working with the students about is really doing some lead up activities to sort of prep them for what they're going to be doing on this particular day. We ask that the Credit for Life, for those of you who haven't done this before, the students use their cell phones or their iPads to do this event. So we make sure that the students know that they go to creditforlife.org ahead of the time if they want to, and bookmark the site. And then they complete an orientation similar to what you all are seeing today, where they're walked through the process for what they'll be doing on Friday when they have the Essex, when they have the Credit for Life Fair. So the new, one of the new enhancements that we did this year is that we made it possible for the students to register and pick their professions ahead of the day of the fair. So in the past, the students have gotten into the field house. They've then gotten the access code. They then have to create their registration, create their profile, then pick their profession, and then begin the fair. We did this for a couple of reasons. For this particular fair, it works really well because the students are on a little bit of a shorter time frame than they are in some of the other fairs that we have. They're only going to have about 50 minutes, 50 minutes to do the event. So for them to be able to register ahead of time, pick their profession, and then be ready to go with purchases on Friday is really important for them. And then for the larger fair, it was really important because it takes a lot of bandwidth every time the students get in the field house. And we're going to talk a little bit about some changes for that later on. But when they get in there and everybody jumps on to do their password right away, it creates a little bit of bottleneck in the Wi-Fi system. So this way the kids can go in and they've already done it. The students have already registered. They've already created their profiles. They've already chosen their profession, so that on Friday morning, when they get into the field house, they'll just jump right in and start to make their purchases, which is really great. So what the students do is they go to creditforlife.org, they create that profile, and then they log in again, and then they choose a profession and an avatar. Once they choose that profession, they're going to see something similar to this. This is the top of the budget sheet. It's going to have, the student's name on there. It's going to have their annual salary, their monthly take-home pay, which is what what is in their checking account to use at the fair, along with a savings account and a credit card balance. So all of that information will be visible to the students as soon as they register. They will not be able to go any further. So this is all that they are able to do. And then on Friday, that is when they will actually be able to do the event. So on the day of the fair at Essex North Shore, the students will be broken into groups of about 200 students each. There's about 400 students that you will all see on Friday morning. So the first session is from 8:50 to 9:40. The second session will be about 9:55 to 10:40. So you'll be done, by 11 o'clock. But the students will come in groups of 200. They will pick up a passport as they enter the door, or they may have it ahead of time. I didn't check with Liz to see if they did that, but they may be picking it up at the door. And then they'll begin their rounds of going to the booths. So just a quick overview of what a passport is. It looks similar to this. It has a checkpoint, as you can see.
Excuse me, Marianne.
Yep.
I just want to let you know, no one can see the PowerPoint.
What?
We've been putting it in the chat, but
I wish somebody came in and told me. Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, thank you for letting me know. You guys can't see the PowerPoint? Well, that's not good. Okay. I wish somebody had come and knocked on my door. Okay, let's try it again. Can you see it now?
We can see it now.
Yeah, we
can
see
see
it now.
Sorry about that, you guys. Sorry about that. I don't think you missed anything. Um, so this is what they're going to see as a fair passport. That's really odd. Um, so this is the session they'll see. You go back to that, but this is what the students will see as a fair passport. So what it really is it's a way for us to be able to track whether the students go to all of the booths. So they'll get this, they'll come to each booth, they'll make a purchase, which we're going to show you how they'll do in just a couple of minutes. And then you will stamp it as a volunteer. You'll check off those boxes. And when they get to credit counseling, when they get to budget review at the very end, they'll, after they go over their budget sheet with you, they'll leave this with you, and we'll put them all in a big bag. And anyone who's completed the fair will have a chance to win about 10 Visa gift cards. So that's why we have them do this. Really just a tracking device for them. So, okay. So let's go back to the big screen here. Can you see it now? Yes. Okay, good.
Yes.
Okay. I don't know what happened last time. So again, this is an example of what the students will see when they do this. There is something going on with this crazy thing. Sorry. Okay. So what the students will do, for example, they'll go to the housing booth. Okay. Make sure that you guys are all muted. If I hear some background news, so if someone's not muted, you can please do that. So they'll go to the housing booth. They will see on their phone this screen that has different options. I'm just showing you a little bit of it here, a couple of the choices. They will make a choice of what they want to buy, and then they will go ahead and make that purchase by hitting select, and then decide how they want to spend that money. Okay. So this is another example of that. Okay. You'll see all of these things. They'll choose the package that they want, and then they'll go ahead and choose that. So let me give you an example. They go to the food and nutrition booth. They check out all the options. They select a package by hitting the orange select button. Then they're going to see this pop-up come up that says, okay, do you want to take it out of your debit, which is really your checking account, your savings account, or your credit card? The students will have to choose where they want that money to come out. They go ahead and do that. Once they do it, they see that that booth is checked off at the top of their phone, and then they can go on to any of the other booths. So the students don't have to do any booths in any certain order. They can do it at any order they want. But once we do tell them that they should make their larger purchases early, but they're not required to start at any particular booth. Okay. So the goal of the day, as we talked about before, is really to teach them how to balance their budget. Doesn't matter what they're making for a salary. Some of the students will have lower incomes. Some of the students will have higher incomes. But really the goal is for them to make choices to make sure that they can go ahead and balance their budgets at the end of the day. So these are the 10 booths that the students will be visiting. We will not have a charitable giving booth this time. Again, once the students will have to make a charitable giving choice, but they won't have to go to that particular booth to do that. We're sort of consolidating at this particular event because the students only have that 50-minute time frame, so they won't be doing any of the money smarts or some of the things that you've seen at other fairs. They will just be visiting. They will have to make decisions about these 10 particular booths. So your role as volunteers is pretty basic. It's really just to help the students. You'll all be assigned to booths, and the students will all come to you, and it will be up to you to talk to them a little bit about what their choices are going to be, to help them make choices at every single booth. That's what they will be able to do. There's no wrong answers. We say this, this is a learning experience for the kids. So, they may get to the end of the fair and then say, oh, I wished I had done this. Oh, I wished I had done that. We sort of hope they do that, because that's really the point of this, is for them to make some choices. And then at the very end of the fair, when we talk about budget review, which we'll talk about in a second, have the conversations where they learn the best way that they could have done that. Or some of them do it perfectly the first time. Yeah. Just a quick, students can look back at their profile and change their choices at any time during the event until they get to budget review. So on their phones, they just go up and click on that that little box up there, they hit profile. Their whole screen will come up on their phone. That'll show them every choice that they've made to date. If they decide that they want to change, for instance, you can see here the health insurance one, they just hit delete and then they go back and make another choice there. So they can do those changes anywhere up until the very end. The other thing you see on the screen is that the students also have the ability to transfer money. So they can transfer from their savings account into their checking account or from their checking account into their savings account. So they know that they can do that right at any time during the fair, as well as during the right before they hit budget review. So the students, the other things that they'll have is pop-ups all through the event. You know, the screens like this. I mean, you know, you'll be penalized if you pay off your student loans, true or false. Before they go to any checkpoint, they'll have a true or false question pop up in their phone, and they will need to answer that before they can go ahead and make those choices. The other kinds of pop-ups that they're going to see, we call life happens. So that, you know, they're positive or negative. So it could be something similar to this. You know, you got your tax refund of $400. That'll automatically be transferred into their checking account. And that's a great thing for them. There are some negative ones as well, as you can see over here. You know, it's not really a negative one, but it's a debit from them. You know, you're in your friend's wedding and you need to cough up money for dresses. We did update those a little bit this year so that they could be a little more relevant to the students. They would relate to them a little bit. So, but that money will automatically be debited or added to their checking accounts if they get that. This is another one that they will see a pop-up for. It's a credit score. They need to answer 5 questions about credit scores. And therefore they, you know, once they do that, if they answer them correctly, then they get 50 points added on, 50 basis points to their credit score. It's just another learning experience for the students to realize the importance of credit scores, which most of them don't know anything about. The other warning pop-ups that we have are low balance pop-ups that will pop up on the student's phone. They'll low balance in their checking account, or if they're close to their credit card limit, they'll see these pop-ups come up and flash on their screen, just as a warning to them. You know, and this is a time where they can maybe go and transfer money from their savings to their checking, or, you know, or maybe rethink a purchase, and instead of putting it on their credit card, they maybe go back and, you know, take it out of their checking account. So these are just experiences that the students will have to be able to do that. So when the students have visited all of the booths and all of their items are checked off at the top, they're going to see this pop up that says, are you ready? You're done. Are you ready to go talk to a counselor? If they hit yes on that, they'll hit this, next step piece. They can click on review your budget sheet. That just means that they're done. And their budget sheet will come up onto their phone, and they can't go back and make any changes or do anything. They can opt, as you can see at the bottom, to make a payment on their credit card. So if they've used their credit card and they get to the end of the fair and they look like they have a little bit of money, a little extra money in their savings account or checking, that's an option for them to go back and pay off that credit card and make a payment on there. So we encourage the students to do that as well. Once they finish doing that, I'm jumping ahead by doing that. This is what it looks like if they hit make a payment on your credit card. They can pay 5%, they can pay the full thing, or they can put up $100 on it, whatever they want to do. Just a good way for them to learn how to do that. The other option that the students have is to download their budget sheet. So it stays right on their phone or their iPad. Some schools like that option for students so that they can review it after the fact so that it doesn't go away. So that's definitely an option for students if they want to keep their budget sheet and have it on their phone. So if they've done all of those things and they're ready to chat with a counselor, they click on the button that says, chat with counselor, and they go right over to budget review, which we're going to talk a little bit about. They do that. They share their device with a budget counselor that sits at budget review. And you will talk to them as a budget reviewer about some of the choices that they made at those booths, whether they, did they take too much off their, credit card? Do they have too much, balance on there? Do they have not enough savings? There are a number of things that they will be talked to at the budget review booth at the end. This is a booth that no matter what booth you're working on Friday, we encourage you, if your booth slows down, to please head over to budget review, because this is one of the most important booths and times for the student, is to be able to go through budget review and talk a little bit about the choices that the students made. So when we send you all of the documents tomorrow, when we send you some talking points for your booth, we're also going to send you talking points for budget review, because it's really important for the students to be able to know from us, okay, this looks really good, you did great there, but why did you take your rent? Why did you put your rent on your credit card? That's really not a good idea. Going forward, it's a recurring expense, and it really should come out of your checking account. Those kinds of discussions is what we hope happens at budget review. So again, we want all of you to help out there if you can. It gets really busy because all of the students are required to go there at the end to have their budget sheets checked. So that if you can do that, that would be really, really helpful. So again, just a quick rundown of the booths. You will get those talking points tomorrow morning for the booth that you're assigned, and as well as I mentioned, the credit budget review. Sorry. So education and training, that's the booth where the students will find out their loan amount, their school loan amount. If students have a profession that is higher, that requires a higher level of education, they will not be able to get the trade associate's degree or the community college. They will be forced into that higher level based on what their profession is. There's also a military option there as well for the students to be able to take, but that will not be available unless the students have signed up for a military option. Food and nutrition, this is where they're going to choose their food package. As you can see from the screen, there's a lot of different options for them. They can pick what they can afford. As you see at the bottom, the military one is grayed out because this particular profession, unless you pick military, you won't be able to make any of those options. Fun. So this is a booth that the students get to spend their money freely. And this is a booth where, if you're volunteering at this particular booth, you want to entice the students a little bit to spend their money and then stop them before they do. So, this is where they can get trips, they can get tickets, they can get theater tickets, they can get a big screen TV. They can actually adopt a pet if they decide to do that. We've got stuffed animals they get to take with them. This is really the fun stuff. And we tell them to make sure that they get, take care of their needs first before their wants. So this is what happens at the fun booth if you're lucky enough to work there. Health and wellness is where the student will pick their health insurance. So there's 3 options there, as you can see, for them to do. There are those little question marks next to it. If the student wants to know a little bit more about what that means, they click on the question mark and they'll see a little bit more about those options. They also get to pick a fitness option at this booth as well, if they like. So housing, furniture, and utilities is all grouped together. We did make some changes to that as well this year. In addition to, we made it, I think in the past, sometimes the students would pick a type of a house, and then they wouldn't see that they had to go down and pick furniture and then utilities. So this year it will prompt the students, once they pick a housing package, it'll slide right down so that they get to the furniture and then the utilities. So it just makes it a little bit more apparent. But these are the options that there's a number of options for students to have to pick, to buy a house or to actually live at home or do some of those other options. Furniture packages will go with that, along with utility packages. So just so I like to call attention to right under the housing, furniture, and utilities, light blue box, you see the dark blue box that says chat. That is a feature that we have for schools that actually still continue to do remote fairs. So that chat will not be available to the students for this particular, because they'll be in person. The other box under there that you can see called Money Modules, Financial Videos. It's a series of 9 really awesome 3 to 4 minute videos that that talk about all different topics. You'll see some of those listed on your talking points. Taxes, what are these taxes that are coming out of my paycheck? What's a payday loan? What are some of these things? So they're just really great topics that the students will have access to before, during, and after the fair. Just another educational opportunity for them. Lifestyle is where the students will purchase the things that they need for everyday living, such as clothing. So the first thing they'll do is pick a clothing package for their profession. As you can see, we've got business casual, business professional, and a uniform. We also encourage the students to purchase a dress-up attire. Talk to them a little bit about the fact that they need a suit to go to a wedding or a funeral, so that's something that we like them to do. They can pick a hair package here. They can get manicures. They can purchase their cell phone here. They also get their cable and internet services. And we put all of that under lifestyle because basically those are everyday purchases that the students will need to budget for as adults. So part-time jobs. So this booth is only available to students that pick a profession that makes $45,000 or less. So the box at the top will automatically clicked off if they don't have to go there. So if the students get to your booth and you're working at part-time jobs and it's already checked off, that means that they don't have to go to that booth because they're not eligible for a job. We did adjust salaries this year. That was another thing that we did, improvement over the year. So some of the higher salaries we reduced this year because we were finding that some of the students were sliding right through. If they were, doctors or surgeons or attorneys, they were making pretty hefty salaries. So they found the fair pretty easy to live with. So we did adjust the salaries a little bit, and we also bumped up the lower levels to a little bit higher to make it a little easier for some of the other students. Planning for the future, again, just what it sounds like. This is where the students will be encouraged to put money away for their savings. They can, hit any of those options twice if they want to. If they want to put away, $200, they just hit it twice. They also then will pick a retirement savings package at this particular booth. Once again, the question marks next to them just give a little bit more information for the student if they want to know, what 3% of their gross pay would be. They click on that question mark and a box will pop up that will show them exactly, if they were putting away $130 a month, what that would add up to at age 65. So it's a fun process for the students. Transportation, again, where the students will pick their transportation to go to work. So there's new cars, there's used cars, there's public transportation, Uber, Lyfts. If you're at this particular booth, you'll want to make sure that if a student signs up to be a salesperson, that they don't, decide they're going to Uber and Lyft to work. They need a car. So these are some of the realistic conversations that you'll have with the students. And charitable giving, again, there won't be a booth for charitable giving, but the students will need to pick a charitable option in order to be able to see their budget sheet at the end. So we'll make sure that they know that they have to do that, especially when they get to budget review. Again, I mentioned these money modules to the students. They're available to the students anytime, before, during, and after the fair. Even a couple of days after the fair, they can go right on the homepage of the creditforlife.org and learn a lot more. I shouldn't say a lot more about some of the important topics that they can cover. So for you as volunteers, I know I'm talking really, really fast here, but I want to make sure that we get to any questions or discussions about budget review as well. What you will do as a volunteer is make sure that you stamp their passports at every single booth. Those bottom ones are not relevant to this particular event, but make sure that they stamp them all and that they turn them into budget review so that they can win some money, but also so that we know that they've completed all of the fairs when they get there. So your job as volunteers is really to do a couple things. You'll get an email from us tomorrow morning with your booth assignment and a little bit more detail about where you park, what you should wear, do all of those kinds of things. Pretty basic for those of you who've done it before. Not a lot has changed at that particular point. Please make sure that you arrive by 8:15 so that we can make sure that we get everybody through the check-in point at the entrance to the school. And make sure that you have a photo ID with you in order to make that happen. Parking will be the same place that it was last year for any of you who did volunteer. It's right across from the main entrance. We'll make sure that we have some signage out there, but it says it will say visitor parking. And it's right across from the main entrance to the school there. And again, we'll have some coffee and snacks ready for you when you get there as well. Please make sure that you do look at the talking points that we send you. Again, it's mostly common sense, but we do put some key points that we would love to hit on it when you get the chance with the students, whether it's at your particular booth or at a budget review at the end. It's important to hit some of those. Dress code, business casual. That's all it is. Business casual. You can, really dress comfortably if you want. If you're at the fun booth and you want to dress in fun clothes, please do. But the name of the day is really be comfortable, and where you really don't sit down. You think we put chairs there, but you really don't sit down most of the morning. So again, just popped in a little map of the front of the school. You will see this area over to the left side. That's really all the parking that you can park into. You'll pull in there, you pull left, and you'll pull right into those parking particular areas. Again, the address is here. I'll put it in the handout that we send tomorrow to you as well, so you can put it in your GPS as needed. But it should be pretty easy for you to get in here and park as well. So if you want to see what the students do, I'm going to again put this in there as well, but go to the creditforlife.org site. You can use this practice code right here, 291360. You put it in as a student access code. Then you create your own profile, you create your own username and password, you pick your own profession, and you will be able to go in there and sort of see exactly what the students are going to be seeing on Friday, if that's of interest to you as well. And then we've got the video on the website, which I'll send you a link to as well. And email us with any questions. I just copied that out. So I don't know if anybody has questions. Feel free to unmute. I'm now seeing all the messages that say you can't see my PowerPoint, so I apologize for that. But does anybody have any questions, comments, suggestions? All right. So be watching for the email from us tomorrow. It'll have your talking points there. It'll have any other details you need. And please reach out if you have any questions at all. It's really fun for those of you who haven't had a chance to do it before. It's a whirlwind of a couple of hours, but one of the most gratifying things we do, I think. And so we're happy to be able to come back to Essex North this year. Liz, anything else that your team wants to throw out? Jill, anybody? Did we cover it all, Liz?
Yeah, I was just going to try to say, due to the number of students, like it might be a good idea for volunteers to try to like cluster kids that come to the booth.
Thank you.
Try to do like maybe, 5 or 6 kids at a time and then shoo them on their way. And definitely our goal is to have them engaged and participating with you. So please, please, please just don't stamp the passports without getting them to explain some rationale for what they chose, why they chose it. And we couldn't do this without you guys. So thank you very much. And we look forward to having you on Friday. Oh, you did mention there were 2 sessions, right? So
yes.
And there's a tiny break between, but not much.
Yeah. I mean, we'll make sure we come around with anything, but yeah, that's a great, I meant to mention that, Liz. Thank you for doing that. The clustering is really important because you want to make sure that we get to all of the students, when we can. So I think that's a great idea. So, and we're not doing the quiz questions at the booths this year. We're just going right into the purchases. So for some of you who have known that in the past, and don't be looking for quiz questions. That's sometimes that we do that at other events. But for this one, once they get to the booth, they will be ready to make their own, to talk about their purchases. Great. All right.
I
Thank
did
you.
have one
Sorry, go
quick
ahead.
question.
Sure.
If you are a new person, which I am to this group, I assume that you will be paired with someone who hopefully has done this before. So
Yes,
that's,
we will make sure that we do that. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And we will have floaters around. Kelly and Elise are on here. They will be floating around, helping. There's a lot of people that have done this before that'll be guiding you. So no question is dumb. No question is too silly. Please ask any questions you want. And it just as Liz just did. We still learn better ways to do this every single year. So if you have any advice or suggestions for how to do it, it's really common sense. Engaging in the students is the most important thing, as Liz said. So great idea. And again, I would encourage, again, if you can, to jump over to budget review at the end. Again, it's common sense questions. How did you do? Look at you came away with this great chunk of money in your savings account. That's really good. How did you invest it? Blah, blah, blah. It's those kinds of questions, and the students really love it.
do we address things like students who are young? Just one last question, who
Sure.
say, I don't need health insurance?
Yeah,
Does that
absolutely.
come up? Because, I'm assuming that, at the age that they are, that seems far away. So, when they go, no, I'm not going to select that. Or do we talk about matching? Like if you have a job where maybe your employer matches whatever you say.
We absolutely do. So if you're at that booth, you'll see that in the talking point. So the three options, the PPO, the HMO, and a self-employed are the three options. So they have to pick one. And if they say that to you, we don't need it. You say to them, yeah, it's actually the law in Massachusetts that you have health insurance. So you actually do need it. But yes, the talking points also mention the fact that, that's one of the things that you should consider when you're looking at jobs down the road is, what are the benefits? How much does your, employer contribute towards your health insurance? It's a really important thing. So that's in the talking point as well. So, and those kinds of things, especially even at lifestyle, when the student says, oh, I don't need cable. Well, do you have it today? Yes, I do. Well, then you're going to want it when you're 25, so we put those things right in there. Common sense questions, you need all of those things. So
Thank you. Looking
yeah,
forward to it. It's
good,
a great. Thank
good.
you. I just
Great question.
retired, so maybe some of these talking points will appeal to me as well.
We all say it every year. We wish we had that when we were young. So appreciate it.
Marianne, I have a quick question. Are the students going to be encouraged to actually set up their profile before Friday, or are they going to do that Friday morning?
Yeah, so our students registered already. Unfortunately, we chose to do this on the 2 days before Thanksgiving break. So there was about 70 seniors absent that we've called down to an assembly tomorrow. They to try to get them all registered. So essentially at the fair, they're just logging back in. They've already chosen their profession, their avatar, and we're hoping that they're just ready to go, like Marianne had mentioned. Did that answer your question?
That did. That's perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, that's the hope. That's the hope. So great. Any other questions? All right, well, feel free to send them over again. And thank you all again for taking the time today. I know I went through it really fast, but I know your time is valuable. And we will see you on Friday morning.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.